We're excited to bring you another edition of the AI Blueprint, this time focused on e-commerce, Black Friday, and customer support. So we have a few slides prepped for you today, and then we're going to go through a live demo by Renato and Richard. E-commerce has been a very interesting space for AI agents. People are buying things online, they have product questions, there's customer support questions. We've probably all seen that before. Maybe a quick question for the group as well. Who's interacted with an AI agent on an e-commerce store? Maybe just drop that in the chat. The main one I've interacted with is actually the Parkfield team's one, but I haven't interacted with too many. So we're still very early in the space, but it's a great way to differentiate for customers. Today, we're going to talk about building AI customer experiences. We're going to talk about what the Parkfield team has built, specifically in the e-commerce space for AI automation. There's a few different use cases that they've built. We'll talk about integrations for returns and discounts, go through some architecture and demos, and then open it up for questions. We noticed that we actually have an AI team here today, a two-person team, but continuing on the theme, we want to make sure that we're building AI as a team sport. So you combine all the knowledge from different groups, right? I come from an ML background. Other folks come from a business background, developers, conversational designers, many folks that come together to build these experiences. So we think that's really important. So you get the best possible agent. And within this sort of series, I'm not sure which one we're on. It might be 5 or 6. I can't remember now. Maybe more, but our core idea here is showcasing some use cases and blueprints for how do you build AI agents as a product rather than just one-off solutions. So we want to make sure that you're incorporating all the different models you want to use, experimenting, deploying different interfaces, having all the business data that you need, and then having those feedback loops to actually improve your agents. Now, I'll pass it over to Richard and Renato to introduce themselves and talk a little bit about what they've built. Over to you guys.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis. Yeah, I'm Richard Emmanuel. I'm the co-founder of Parkfield Commerce. We're a Shopify Plus agency, and we help retail brands migrate to Shopify. And we discovered Voiceflow early this year. And Renato is the developer on the Voiceflow project, so I'll let him introduce himself.
Hello, everyone. This is Renato. Rich actually introduced me to Voiceflow a few months ago. I was a bit skeptical at first, but then we learned that to be able to have an AI agent connected to Shopify, you needed to build a database and do a ton of work that for me didn't make any sense at the moment. So we came up with Streamline, which is our connector for Voiceflow. And you're basically able to add your API key from Voiceflow and have all of Shopify store data connected in the knowledge base. So that's basically how we started on Voiceflow and where we're at right now.
Awesome. Yes, thank you, Renato. So I'm going to dive in quickly and talk about Black Friday Cyber Monday for a lot of brands and what they typically experience. I know some of you might not be in e-com, but I think it's a great use case for AI. And yeah, I'll jump in. Before I get started as well, big thanks to Voiceflow asking us to be part of this. Huge honor, so thank you so much. All right, so for some retailers, Black Friday Cyber Monday actually accounts for 50% of the sales. So it's a huge time for retailers. It's pretty much like the Super Bowl for all these businesses. And 9.3 billion was made alone just on Shopify stores. But with that number of sales, this comes with a huge responsibility. Like in terms of cost of ownership goes up, in terms of how many emails need to get sent for the year if they're using something like Klaviyo or an ESP, how many SMSs they send. And also very obviously support goes up. A lot of these brands look at hiring additional heads, team members to help them with scale their support, handle all the tickets that come in. And I'll just go over to the next slide. Just to explain it, so an increase in headcount, some brands look at hiring overseas solutions that may work 24/7. With that comes a bit of like trust discrepancy as well. Because these people overseas actually know the brand, will they understand what issues I'm going through? And also basic chatbots, which may have AI or may not have AI. And a lot of these brands will try this out as a kind of like a first line of defense, which isn't always a successful solution. We're going to talk about Voiceflow, and actually not just Voiceflow, but other apps, and we can like define where like the traditional old school chatbots come in and where Voiceflow steps up to the plate. So typically you see normal chatbots have a simple FAQ, which can do business hours, store policies, what does shipping times look like? And then into the level 2s, it could go into order status. So is it connected to the order status database? Can it pull orders? And can it raise a ticket in the CSM? So that's pretty much where these more simplistic chatbots kind of start and end. And the great thing about Voiceflow and other platforms similar to it, but in particular we use Voiceflow, so we know at the back of our hand, is product recommendations, not just like you typically see on like a website with a recommendation widget, but actual conversations customers can have with AI chatbots. And we've got a great use case we'll show you later, but you could, using Voiceflow, you could be as complex as you want in terms of questions. So you can ask it, hey, I'm going fishing in Colorado in May, and the LLM smart enough to know, hey, okay, I know what the weather's going to be in May. I know it's going to be pretty cold. Let me look at the product database and look what insulated products are there available and what are the actual product verticals or product categories I need to look at for fly fishing. So we can go as complex as that. Something we've done for our client Drake as well is size recommendations, because that's a big thing as well. And our client asked us to look into how do we build in sizing knowledge into the database. So you could ask it anything from height, weight, shoe size, and get recommendations on products. And that's worked out really well. And cancellations and mitigations as well. So if it's, for example, a subscription product like Harry's, the AI should be smart enough to know, okay, offer a discount before this person cancels. If they do cancel, let's go into Q&A feedback flow and collect that data. So it just shows you the level of complexity you could have with a really good AI agent, and where kind of the simple bots won't be able to get to. If you do have any questions, I think we're gonna have time for FAQ at the end. Yeah, feel free. All right, so talking about Drake Waterfowl, this was our first foray into Voiceflow. And the reason why we got into this AI chatbot space, which we're super excited about, is Drake came to us and said, hey, we get so many support requests outside of business hours. Like, so we get so many people after 5 o'clock asking us questions, and then the support person doesn't come in until 9 a.m. in the morning and has to go through this mountain of tickets. And a lot of those tickets are pretty mundane. So it's, where's my order? Can I change my order before it gets shipped? So a lot of these tickets were repetitive, and it took away from the time the support team could spend on like the more complex tickets, the level 3s. And automate returns, that was a sticking point for the client as well. Like you had to have your order number to make a return, and the human had to send the person a link to make the order. So is there an easy way we can streamline this whole return process? And that took us up to Streamline. As Renato stated earlier, it was a bit hard to make the connection between Shopify and Voiceflow without creating a custom connection for each client. So we set about creating one for Drake and thought about how we could package this up and make it available for other developers. But just to go over what we built for Drake is we started off, what are the pre-sales questions and what are the post-sale questions? So we pretty much took about 2 years worth of tickets. We removed all the confidential information and we put that into an LLM, and we asked it some questions like, what are the most common questions, and what are the typical solutions? So once we got that data, we said, okay, these are pre-sale questions and these are post-sale questions. And it was about 10 questions in total we had to split up. And then we said, okay, some of these questions could be answered by Shopify's database. Some of these questions could be answered by integrating into Klaviyo. So to give you an idea, pre-sales questions were like product recommendations. Pre-sale questions included like product sizing. And one we're working on is coupon code lookup. So a lot of people that say, hey, I just entered my email, I didn't receive a coupon code. And then post-sale questions around, can I change the size before the order comes? Where's my typical question is, where's my order? And also the Loop integration. So we actually integrated Loop directly into Voiceflow. And currently they use Freshdesk. So Freshdesk was great in the sense that it has APIs and webhooks we could easily connect to. So this gives a great diagram just to show you what Streamline Connector does, what the app we created, particularly for Drake, and we made it public, but this is everything we push up from Streamline Connector up to Voiceflow. And it gives a good example of like where the integrations come in. Do they integrate with Streamline or do they directly integrate with Voiceflow?
Yeah. This is a great diagram, and I guess so you built a use case at the beginning, right? Then you probably were building some automation. Were there any other use cases or workflows that you discovered or maybe are in the loop right now or starting
Yeah.
to hear?
Yeah, certainly. So Klaviyo is a big one. I'd say after order status, people asking for their coupon codes or saying that I didn't get this email, what was the latest promotion? That's a big one. So in the roadmap is the Klaviyo integration. That's the next one. One after that is going to be like really understanding. We've created a really good support AI chatbot. But obviously this is retail. So how do we improve the sales? What are the things do we need to be thinking about? So one that we're working on is people ask the AI agent, when is a certain product going to get back in stock? So it's okay, can we connect this system to an ERP so we understand when the order's been made for the stock replenishment, and can we give that back to the customer? And not only give it back to the customer, can we ask for the customer's email so we can connect it to the ESP, in this one, Klaviyo. So how do we we should be constantly selling, cross-selling. If somebody's asked where their order is, hey, we should be recommending people also bought products similar to this. So it's like, how do we turn this into a cross-selling, upselling machine is the next phase for the client.
Yeah, I think it could be quite frustrating if you're searching for a product and you use a chatbot and you're like, okay, product is great for me, but it's out of stock, right? So
yeah,
you have a few options, right? You can recommend a similar product, you can ask for their email and email them back. If you can give an estimate, that's very monumental, right? They're back on the list. And then, what did other people buy with this? I think all those are really powerful, and you create that more reliable connection with the customer, knowing that when you interact with the bot, you're going to get up-to-date information. You are going to get that recommendation, especially in areas that you might not know of. For example, you're buying for a friend, right? You're like, okay, I maybe know they're interested in this, right? I'm not an expert in fishing equipment or electronics or whatever else. So that chatbot can be that concierge, right, for you.
I love that. Yeah. Some great ideas there. And that's the thing, is like when somebody's shopping on a website, we have no idea. Without AI or some conversation, we have no idea who they're shopping for. So the fact that we can go like even deeper into questions, then segment those people and say, actually, this is a gift buyer, not a gift receiver. So that's really cool. With Drake being live for 4 weeks, we saw 60% reduction in support tickets, which is phenomenal. We saw a boost in sales through AI recommendations, and obviously a huge saving in operational costs. Not having to hire additional people for peak seasons was amazing for the e-commerce team. And not only that, I'm not going to lie, there was some resistance from the CX team about employing AI into their tech stack. They're worried about, will the system make things up? Will it offer discounts, even though there are no discounts? But the really cool thing with Voiceflow, we're actually able to control the conversation and set up really strict parameters around what conversations happen. And the CX team came back after probably a week and said, this has completely changed my life. Like, I go to work and I've only got level 3 tickets to worry about, things that actually need my assistance. And so the quality of tickets she's dealing with are much, much improved. Yeah. So those are the results. Sorry, Dennis, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, I think this is the other thing that we think about is there's these discussions, right? Is AI going to automate my job? How should I approach this question? But here we're really seeing that use case where you go to work and you get to deal with the more interesting questions, right? Where humans do some problem solving. It's not just, hey, can you fill out this return form, please? Use link.
Exactly.
That's not great. It's not a great experience. I used to work in retail.
100%.
The things that got you interested, right, is people asking different questions, right, mixing it up. And even then, AI being able to help you hit your metrics, right? If you can't find certain information, you're like, oh, where is this information? Where's this link? How can I find it? That's a frustrating experience, right? So
yeah. 100%. Yeah. I was thinking probably in 5 years, we're going to look back and think, remember people used to send canned responses manually? I think we're going to look back and think that was a crazy time. And you're right. I think we're not going to eradicate jobs. I think there's going to be different types of jobs. I think CX teams may be responsible for more pro-selling, like what recommendations can we make? How can you build relationships with VIP customers, the customers that constantly come back and spending a lot of money? So I think the role is going to be slightly different. And yeah, talking about the future, I'd love to see more like Voiceflow experts on CX teams, like the ones who can read through the transcripts, the ones that can develop conversations. I think that's where I see like the future of the CX team going, as opposed to having to just mundanely answer the, like you said, constantly answering the boring questions.
Yeah. And I think the VIP one is a great one, right? Because a lot of e-commerce stores, right, you try to move up market and have those customers, maybe even starting to go to the commercial side, right? You're not just dealing with just one person, you're dealing with a company, right? Somebody's doing an offsite or a team event or a party, right? Suddenly the order volume is bigger. You can route that to a person, right, who can handle it in a more customized way.
I like that.
And then AI can focus on the individual buyer, right, who's just coming in, has some basic questions, and then you keep moving up market, and you can do it with your team, right?
100%. Yeah, I know we're still talking about Drake, but it's interesting some of the projects that are coming in from clients now, and it's great to see them like adopting AI in a more ambitious way. Yeah, we've had two people come to us and said, "Hey, is it possible Voiceflow would pretty much automate my CSM? So not just raise tickets, but also answer the tickets, answer the L1s, answer the basic ones, and then anything that's complex can Voiceflow send it to a human." So it's really, we're like, let's have a look, and like having a conversation with the Voiceflow team. Yeah, this is totally doable. So it's really exciting to see where the future of retail is going to be in terms of CX teams and CX support, and how they're adopting AI. I know there was a bit of resistance, but it's really cool to see like a change of thought now happening.
Yeah, and I think that's the most exciting part is when teams building, when it's the CX teams building these agents, they're learning something new, they're getting their hands right, learning how to build things, learning to maybe code a little bit, design things. Like I think, again, it goes back to the whole upskilling discussion. But yeah, these are great returns of investment, right? We have the cost reduction, we have the number of tickets reduced, we're boosting sales. Use case, right? We decrease costs, increase sales.
That's it.
What else can you ask for?
100%. And just looking at the chat, one made a really good point, like good CX does drive good revenue. So making sure you are investing in good CX experiences, even if you are using AI, you should still be investing in people. What are people saying? Are the transcripts working? Are the transcripts, is anybody getting stuck in a loop? And just making sure that, hey, you're still invested in, even if you are using AI, you should still make sure it's a great experience. But just the fact that you can have a single AI agent answer thousands of people without having to scale your support team is a dream come true for, I think, a lot of retailers. Yeah. All right. So yeah, talking about transcripts, I think that goes well with the next slide. I'm sorry, it's small. We will try and do a demo once Renato comes back. But this is some of the conversations and workflows we've created. So where's my order? Typically what we do is ask for the person's email address, and then we can present them with a carousel of the latest orders, and they can click on view order and get an exact details of where their order is, get their tracking number code. So that was a huge part of the cut down in tickets for Drake Waterfowl. Next thing was Loop Returns, integrating Loop Returns platform, which is a third-party integration into Shopify. And that's been our like MO for building the Drake Waterfowl. Like, what third-party integrations can we integrate this with? Does it have an API? Does it have a webhook? Okay, let's integrate into Voiceflow. So Loop Returns was the next one. And it's really cool. All you need to do is put in your email address and your zip code, and we'll provide the customer with a secret link. Click on that, and then you go to the returns platform. You'll be able to select for each product you have. And then coupon codes. So a lot of people do ask for, where's my coupon code? I didn't receive it. So what we're going to be working on is trying to pull all the coupon code ones that were created over the last 30 days, pull those into Voiceflow, and then we'll be able to look through a database using the customer's email and show them the coupon code. This takes a lot of time for a human to do, because I have to find out who the customer is, go into Klaviyo, and the email that was sent, copy the code, send it to the customer. So this would be a huge advantage. And we do have other flows as well. If you are interested, feel free to check out the Drake Waterfowl website, drakewaterfowl.com, and you'll be able to test it out on the live site. All right, can you guys see it?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, so Drake Waterfowl, they've been around for about 30 years, and it's pretty inspiring that one of the oldest companies is one of the most innovative, super adapting to AI. And yeah, big thanks for allowing us to work on this AI chatbot for them. So I'm just going to start a new chat. All right, interestingly, when we created the AI chatbot for them, our first initial stab at this, we had the bubbles. And what we found out is a lot of people didn't even interact with the bubbles at all. They went straight to the chat, which made us have to rethink, people will use this in a different way. Then we started thinking about the flow. So when people had an issue, sorry to go off on a tangent, but when people had an issue, we realized people didn't tell us their name first. They told us their issue. So even though we built the AI chatbot, we had to like really rethink it once it went live. So just a tip for everybody, get your MVP live to the public first. Don't spend too long building it, because what you'll find is it will completely change once you give it to the hands of users. Anyway, we'll start with a product recommendation. We'll say that we want to see personalized recommendations. Okay, so I'm going to say that I'm going fly, this is the popular one, I'm going to go fly fishing in Maine in May. And what it's doing is it's working out, okay, what is the weather going to be in May in Colorado? What's the temperature going to be? And what also does what would a person need to go fishing?
Yeah. Oh, Richard, sorry to interrupt you, but can you zoom in a little bit so we can see the text?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Certainly. All right. Apologies, guys. All right, how's that?
Yeah, okay, great. Everybody can see that a little bit better. Okay, keep going.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. All right, so for fly fishing in Maine in May, here are my recommendations. You'd need a t-shirt, and it's giving me some t-shirt options. And let's ask for a new recommendation. Let's say get a new recommendation. I'm going to say I've never been wading before. What would I need?
I don't actually know what wading is. Is that just going into shallow water?
Yeah, going into shallow water. Yeah, going into shallow water and fishing. Yeah, so no boat. You're actually just standing in the water. All right, so I'll zoom up. Okay, for your first wading experience, you'll need a few key pieces of gear. Here are my recommendations based on our available products. And yeah, it said I'll need a wader bag, I'll need a jacket, I'll need lighted, I believe it's actual waders, what I put on. So these are the main gears I'll need. And then you can click on that, go straight to the product. So it's a really cool system. And what's great about it, like this would have been a whole ticket for Drake Waterfowl, which would have had a back and forth with the CX team. And the fact that I can get like answers straight away. And also because we're using Streamline Connector, which is constantly pushing product data, product inventory, product information, it's only offering the products that are actually in stock right now. Yeah, so we're pretty proud of that.
If I click shop now, does that give me a UTM as well for the course?
Thank you. Yes, Renato will probably kill me if I didn't mention that, but yes. So with Streamline Connector, it was super important. Obviously in retail, we need to be able to track return on investment. So telling a client, hey, yes, it does increase sales without actual figures doesn't really hold weight. With Streamline Connector, we've added sales tracking ability. So we'll add a UTM and we're able to track it within the app. So if you try it out, I don't know if you'll see it on my screen because it's only showing the internal, but the URL will say at the end of the URL, question mark, was this an AI recommendation? True. So yeah, we're able to track sales and you'll see the revenue in the Streamline Connector app.
Oh, nice. Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. And maybe you can tell us a little bit more about the carousel, just like how has that been? How have customers approached getting a little bit more visual results?
Yeah, so the carousel's been pretty popular. I think it was Dan from your team who helped us develop that. But yeah, the customers love it. They love the idea of choice. Rather than just seeing one product, you should get this. I think it's always good to show at least 3 options. And yeah, it cycles through. I know it's a big request for developers to have it done as well. And we also have the carousel in other areas. So whether it's orders, people want to cycle through, whether it's products, it's been a big hit. Yeah, we love it.
Also a question from Philip about interacting with the carousel on the website as you chat. Philip, do you mean if when you say something in the chat, it'll populate the website, sort of two-way communication? Is that what you mean? Yes? Okay.
Can you tell what the cursor on those? Yep. Okay. Yes. You can definitely scroll through it and continue the chat on.
I think the question is if you, based on what you asked in the chat, will it populate the website right now?
So is the question, if I click on it, will I go to that page?
Or based on your search, will it pull this up, or have you been asked by other customers for that experience?
Can you interact with the crowd? Would you mind repeating that, Dennis?
Okay, I think the question is, so you looked for jackets in the chat. Will it show you similar jackets, for example, on the website in a bigger view, right? Two-way communication between chat and website.
Let's click on it. Let's see. All right, so I've got the jacket up.
Mm-hmm.
And I should still have the ongoing communication with the user. Sorry, I still should have so it's still there. One thing that we're probably going to work on next is the ability to see what page they're on. So in the chat, it could be like, okay, we saw that you clicked on it. Would you like more details on the product? Do you have any other questions? And one thing we're going to be working on in the near future is scraping reviews. So we can scrape reviews for even more like customer, because I think customer UGC is the most important information you can have. People want to know how it's used, what use case have they used it for. So you could continue, we could even say, hey, thank you for clicking on, or once I've clicked on the page, just say, hey, by the way, Dennis from Canada said this is an amazing product. So there's like really like cool things we could probably pull on based on what URL they're looking at. That we'll be working on soon.
Yeah, that'd be very interesting. And then maybe you could do some profile matching, right? To see you're calling in from Canada or from Maine or wherever else. And that might be initial assumptions about the user, right? What they might be interested to start.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, we could pull that from the IP. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, this has been a great demo. Anything else you wanted to show as part of the, I know it's the live agent, so we don't want to do too much.
Yeah, one thing I do want to do is raise the ticket, just to annoy the CX team out there. But yeah, have a play with it. It's live on the Drake Waterfowl website right now. Ask it any questions you like. We've also connected it to the loyalty system, so you could sign up for loyalty on there. Yeah, please have a play. Thank you. And what's really funny, when we launched it for Drake, I remember me and Renato, the developer on it, we'd read transcripts 11 o'clock at night. And as sad as it sounds, we're actually like, wow, this is like reading magic. It's like seeing what people were saying. How was the AI responding to it? Did it respond correctly? And 9 out of 10 times, it was like a great response. And you're thinking, okay, do we need a human to answer these simple things if AI can answer it so well? So yeah, it was a great experience working on this. Can't wait for the next one.
Yeah. And I think what's really important here is this, you've been talking about, this is what we did first, this is what we did second, these are future ideas, is that you keep iterating, right? It's that product journey that we always talk about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Just to speak on that, it's we created a workflow. Have a look on streamlineconnector.com, on the blog site. We've created like, what does the scope of work look like? And it's so different to traditional development, building a Shopify website. Like you spend 3 months building it, maybe 2 weeks testing it. Whereas it's completely flipped when it comes to Voiceflow agents. It's almost like a month building, 2 months testing, iterations. What changes do we need to make? So one thing I would say is get the MVP up quick as you can and do control testing, just because it will iterate so much. It's never, hey, we've created the perfect bot, now we're going to check it in 12 months. It is a constant iteration. Yes, it's a completely different way of development, but it's great.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. I think maybe we can open up to questions just as we wrap up the demo. So if anybody in the audience has any more questions, I know there's been a stream coming in as well, but we can go through that. So let's see if there's any ones that we have missed. Going up to the top. Okay, one question here was, so Streamline, so you can just download it from the Shopify store, right?
Yeah, correct. Go in the Shopify store, type in Streamline or even Voiceflow, and you should be in there. Install it, you'll get 7 days free. If you want an extension, we can extend it for 15 days, just let me know. And yeah, you can connect your store to Voiceflow in seconds.
Awesome. And I guess you've talked about a few features that you're excited about. Are there any features that you think that you have to build, but maybe aren't as exciting, just like the routine things, right? You're like, okay, I need to do this integration or improve this bug. Like, what kind of things have you run into from that perspective?
In terms of building integrations, I always find them fun. That's always been our mission at Parkfield, is how do we integrate different platforms to this thing? And we've continued that with our Voiceflow. So we find that fun. I think the more laborious task is like reading the transcripts and, okay, this is a bug, or this is a workflow we might need to figure out how we change. But honestly, yeah, the integrations are the fun part. So yeah, I was going to say, in terms of integrations, we do have a template marketplace for Voiceflow and Streamline Connector. We just launched a Klaviyo integration yesterday. We've got Gorgeous and Loop Returns. We're going to add a few more integrations there. And if you have one, hit me up. Yeah, hope that answers the question.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think one of the great things about this, like Richard and Renato have built a great integration, have built a great success story, right, for their customer. There is a bunch of these success stories that exist, demos you can build. And I think this is the important part about building the community and being part of it, that you can see what other folks are building, incorporate it into your agent. For example, being able to resize the agent or scroll to somewhere on the website from other agents, but from yours, right, the focus on integrations, I think people can learn a lot from that. So that's why we're always excited to have people from within our community come in, share what they're doing, share what they're building, and for all of us to build together, because it is a complex space, right? We talk about AI, we solve some problems, but just as we said at the beginning, this is just the beginning in this probably 5-year journey of building automation. So I think that's really important.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I was going to piggyback off that. Yeah, I think we're just scratching the surface of the use cases and the possibilities. So it's really interesting, like I said earlier, when a client comes to you with a unique thing we haven't even thought about, can Voiceflow even do that? And it's, yeah, Voiceflow can do that. So it's like really cool to see. As the saying, hey, you should follow the puck where it's going, but the puck is moving so fast. It's like, hey, we thought we did like an amazing job, and it's like customers are coming to us with like even more complex problems and more complex use cases. So it's really cool to see how the industry is going to be. I'm super excited for it. Yeah, super exciting time.
Yeah. And what's the best way for folks to reach out to you if they have any questions or thoughts?
Yeah, the best way is hit me up at, I'll put an email in, support@streamlineconnector.com. We're pretty active on responding to those. We've got a ton of agencies that hit us up about requests to look at code or think about integration. So yeah, hit us up on there. That's probably the best way to stay in touch.
Awesome. Okay. I think then we can just wrap things up. I hope everybody enjoyed the session. We've answered all your questions on e-commerce, right? Black Friday is coming up soon. When is it? Six weeks from now? Do you have a giant ticking?
A giant clock, yes. Yeah, it's a crazy time. Yeah, it should be fun.
So if you're in e-commerce, try to get something going before that big rush, and then you have the holiday rush as well. We'll be back next month again to do another one of these AI blueprints, but this will be available on YouTube afterwards and on Goldcast if you want to review, ask questions, rewatch it. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
All right, bye. Take care. Thank you.